me unmute the mic first. Happy Easter, everybody. He is risen. He is risen indeed. This is one of my most favorite holidays. When I was younger, Christmas was my favorite because we always get gifts as children. But unfortunately, as I got older as an adult and understand when I grew my faith and understood what the true meaning of a gift was a gift that we, the world, did not deserve. And God had offered that gift as his son, as a sacrifice on that cross. And we celebrate that. We don't understand why we celebrate Good Friday, but the one thing about it is as John, I believe John 19:30, I remember seeing, I can't remember, it was Jesus, I think it was verse 30, I can't remember, I think it was in John 19, not, don't hold it to me, but as I remember, Jesus, they gave him sour wine, and after that he said, it is finished, not I was finished, it is finished, and he gave up his breath, and that it was death, that we had an opportunity to live again if we have a faith and wants to understand who Jesus is, who God is. I am very believing that because no matter what, we're all broken. And the reason why we celebrate Easter is because he is risen. The tomb is empty. That cross has nobody on it. And no matter what, he is coming back someday. And I do believe in that. And I'm beyond grateful for that gift that I don't deserve. And I know many of you all out there is the same way, that are strong in their faith, but believes that we are broken, we're busted. And that's why we have that Savior. We believe that one day we will be with him and that our death will be defeated. I'm not talking about the first death, and that is the death of we die. No matter what, as humans, we're going to die unless Jesus comes back and raptures the church. But no matter what, we're all destined to die. But it's not that death we need to worry about. It's the second death that we need to worry about after we are in front of him, because we're all going to be accounted for what we did that day, no matter what, good or bad. As believers in Christ or non-believers, we're all going to be accounted for. And the one thing is, I want to make sure that I'm ready no matter what, and that not to be afraid of this first death, because I must die. And that's the purpose of we must die to ourselves daily and pick up our cross. And, I try to do that. I know there's days I don't do that, but that's because we're all broken and busted. And no matter what, I am beyond grateful that he never gives up. Even though there's days that I say, I want to give up on myself, there's days that he says no, because he wasn't going to give up. He's like that, just like the parables he said of the lost prodigal son and the shepherd going after that one and leave the 99. He's going to, even if we go into our own self, somewhere his word whispers into our ears, or sermon or anything, it will come. And sometimes we may walk away, other times we will come back. And I am one of those that I will admit that, hey, I am broken. And I'm not broken because my body's broken, as I'm broken spirited, because we live in a fallen world. We live in a sin world. We make mistakes. And this is not an easy world to live in. And I know I went through several storms. I'm going through one right now. And I won't get into it. After a while, I will get into that one. But I'm ready for that one to be over with. But I know there's a reason why I'm still in here. So I am grateful that people are coming in. And after that, let's get into this today's live. And one thing is, I wish I went with StreamYard a long time ago. The one thing I learned when I got on StreamYard is because I was started with the EV Mux because I was having trouble, and no matter if I copy the encoder key and everything, it usually pulls up the live somewhere else off the schedule. The one thing I learned about StreamYard, and I know it's costs a little bit more, and I think this is why it costs a little bit more, but it's more reliable, is you do not have to go to YouTube and create and schedule a live. You can actually do it all into the StreamYard, and it works perfectly. I know I got the middle one, which is good enough for me, and I've already paid for the year, and that way I don't have to worry about while I'm off during my surgery. But one thing about it is all I had to do was just set it up in StreamYard, and it automatically scheduled it right into my YouTube. So that way, when you all see it when it comes up to your all's homepage, you see my schedule live. And I don't have to worry about is it going to hit the right encoder, or is it going to create a whole new one? And I'm thankful. So I want to go say hi. I see some people are coming in, more people coming in. So I am grateful. And I know the first one, I'm hoping she is here, is Helix. And I'm glad that you came in early. I'm hoping you're still here watching. And I am hoping that I saw a few of your videos, and I am hoping that we get to see more, and I'm hoping that you come back strong and that your channel will grow, because I miss you, and I miss your lives, because you had some good topics, and you had fun at it. And then we're gonna go with the second one, Mr. Bud. How you doing today? They found me in Thomas's chat yesterday. Glad to see I'll catch a live stream on a very quiet Easter for her. I am grateful that you're here. Thank you for stopping by. Jerry said, hey, Mist and Kelly. She's in driving mode right now. She's driving home from church service and has to do a little shopping, but she is on their listening mode. I'm glad that stopped by. Jerry said, stopped at a stop sign, says, he is risen indeed. Amen. Absolutely. That grave is empty. There is no body in that grave. And then we have Rick, or Quack Pack, saying hello. He's been out there working on his truck, and I am still looking forward to seeing him have that truck going and up and going. And here's Lynn from 22Q Cat. How you doing? Sims John 8777. Just a quick hello, finishing up with cleanup after a huge Easter dinner. Nice to have family here. Well, I'm glad you stopped by today. I'm glad that you also is having Easter with your family, because one thing about it is today family. I have family, but I went over and had dinner with family, but it's not my immediate family. But my mom was there, so I had dinner. I went to church with my mom, and I had to leave early, but I was really interested in the church service, and because the pastor had a really good sermon, and it talks about the grave, talks about grace very well. Jiffy says, hello, he is risen. Happy Easter. Absolutely. Mr. Buzz says, happy Easter. Jerry, be safe. Rick said, didn't find any eggs in the canal. That sucks. Man, can't find no Easter eggs, man. That'd be good. Free duck eggs. Hi, Sharon. Said, happy Easter. He is risen indeed. Absolutely. And Rick said, God sent his son, Jesus, to save him. Absolutely right. That's the purpose of Easter. That's why it is my most favorite holiday. Christmas, I love Christmas, but Christmas anymore, I celebrate Christmas because our Savior came into this world at that time, even though he wasn't born during Christmas, but we celebrate it at that time of the year. But Easter is my most favorite, because what father would give a gift that wants to bring humanity back to him to worship and bring the fellowship back. Without Jesus, we're nothing. I mean, yeah, we could follow all the laws of the Jewish traits, but the problem is there's so many. There's no way because we can't. It's hard to. You know, if we can try to keep the commandments, it's hard to keep them because I broke every one of them, and no matter what in my lifetime, every one of them, it's hard to keep. I'll say I keep them, but I'll tell them I broke them. Sharon says, if you haven't heard from Grandma Barbara's resurrection song yet, shoo, I still have tears. I'll have to check her out because I know Barbara does a lot of songs, and I need to check out her songs because I know some of them are pretty awesome. I know sent one to Butter Bob. She did. I know she did one. I think a couple for Mitch, and I know she did several for a lot of us in this community. Sharon says, "Amen, Rick." The physical world is finite. Everything lives and dies. Yeah. That's the thing is we live in a fallen world. We originally in the original world, the original creation before the fall of sin, we were a perfect world. But when the first human sinned, that was it. Things changed. Hey, it's my Missouri neighbor, Juliet. I am so grateful that I got to meet Juliet last weekend when I went to Branson. Her and her husband Doug lives in Springfield, Missouri, and I was going right through Springfield, and I'm like, this is an opportunity if I can be able to meet Juliet in person because I know we were trying to do that. I know we're working on wanting to do a Missouri meetup. I had ideas this morning, was turning in my head, especially in my area, because I have places that we could have a meetup. The only problem is I'd have to, if we do meals there, I'd have to figure a way to have someone I know and have to specially cook it because I know someone that will cook barbecue meat and stuff, smoked meat, stuff like that. But I would have to let them know, hey, this is what we will season it with and stuff, because sometimes people will season with sugar and stuff. And that's one thing that as carnivore, we try to stay away from that kind of stuff. We may use some spices, most of us, but most of us or all of us mainly seasons with salt. And I had my wheels turning, Juliet, today because I was sitting there, I was standing ingredient and my wheels was turning about doing a Missouri meetup. And I would love to get this started. And I may start looking and planning it. And I know in my area, there is places that we can meet. It just, unfortunately, we don't have a restaurant. But also in Moberly, Missouri, where I go to church at, where we good place to have a meet because we have an auditorium. We have a 4th Street theater that seats so many. We have the main municipal auditorium. Then we have this pavilion, if we can have it out in the park. We have a Rothwell Park there in Moberly, Missouri, and there's they call the lodge where we could have a great meetup, by code so many people can go in, but we'd have to figure out how can, most of the time they go out to dinner and stuff, and it's kind of hard, but my wheels was turning, so I'm eventually I want to have a Missouri meetup. I want to have that. I want to get us Missouri Show Me Carnivore fellow carnivorians, and even in the ones that are close out of state like Helix and Laura Russell that's close to Missouri. If we can get together and have a great meetup and with Dr. Kiltz, Dr. Nelson, or Carrie Mann and the Hill Humanity, that would be great if we can get that going. And I may start thinking about that even more. I mean, I know it's busy for me and I have to work. A lot of us do work in a busy life and we don't have that time. And that's the biggest part is you got to make time for that. But I'm going to put the thought into it. Let's see. Let's see. Yeah, Juliet says StreamYard is super easy. I love it. I mean, I see why a lot everybody uses it. Yeah, it is costly, and I got the middle package, But all I had to do was just set up my live, and that was it. Done. It does everything for you. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Vampire G9F. Hello, nice show. Happy Easter. I like this one. Rick said, God loved the world so much, he gave his only son to save us. Most people did not follow him, but executed. Jesus was given all authority in heaven and on earth. He did not get even. Absolutely. Right there, enough said. And Mr. Buff said, just sub to your channel, Juliet. And Juliet was saying, yay, Missouri meetup. Your area is best to meet up. Yeah, I mean, it is one of those things. My wheels was turning like, because our church, I go to Redeemer Church, and one thing about it is we have a building. We had an older building downtown Moberly, and is going to convert it. But unfortunately, because we have to have it in back to a historical status because of the downtown area, you have to have it a certain way, and you have to have it historical, and a room to put it back to the original is $675,000. We had offered a place it was called Doctor's Park, and it was 5 acres plus 4 or 5 more acres on top of that for $575,000. The building was ready, move-in ready, and all we had to do was upgrades. And that's the way the church went. We bought the Doctor's Park building this last year, demoed out. There's a new academy, Christian academy, private school for younger kids there. They built classrooms on one end. On the other end, they totally gutted out all the doctor's offices and made a kitchen, which the kitchen is still under construction because as funds go or as time permits, they can get that built. But the fellowship hall is open. This building used to be a doctor's office, and you go in, and only part that kind of looks like the original doctor's office or Doctor's Park was the dead center of it. Everything else don't even look like it anymore. And we went from healing sick people to healing sick spirits, which meaning our broken spirit were, that's why God come to heal the broken spirit. So that was a beautiful thing. And hopefully one day that the money and funds will come in, and eventually we will build a multi-purpose building, a sanctuary. And one thing about a church, you do not have to have a fancy building. The church is a building. Church is not the building, it's the people inside. A building don't have to be nothing. You could even meet at home. That was the purpose of Casas por Cristo doing what they do for the families in Mexico. It's not about giving a family a home. It's about bringing Christ to the center of that home and saving people's lives and people surrendering to Christ. We're just the hands and feet, and we're just 2 months away from our mission trip at the end of May, and I am looking forward to it. Even though I have this damaged hip, I enjoy all this, and I'm looking forward to it because it's one thing that God calls us. We all have special talents, and sometimes our talent is could be anything. You don't want me to preach. I'm not a preacher, not a pastor. I mean, I can probably do a sermon, but you don't want me to do a sermon because I'd butcher it. If not, it's going to be very short and sweet. You don't want me to sing. I cannot sing. Amy's good at that. Let her sing. If I sing, I'm going to run y'all off. But the one thing is I'm in the trades, and my skills and my talent is in my hands. And I'd rather go and be the hands and feet to Jesus and use my hands to build someone a home in another country to bring Christ into that home and save people and redeem people's lives. And that's the one thing I love about that. Miss Above says she lives in Southern Colorado. Oh, looky here. Hi, Sandy. I'm glad you stopped by today. Miss said, Miss Above says, but I'd love to, would drive to Missouri, but I'd never been past the Midwest. And Sharon likes Rick's message, Easter message. Preach it, Rick, preach it. Rick says, I seem to have many talents. Hey, sometimes we have multi-talents no matter what. The one thing about you, Rick, you can find that parking lot chicken. You can find the parking lot ducks. You know exactly where the iguanas find the iguanas. And one thing about it is even your many talents and skills, no matter what, the biggest thing is sharing your journey here on YouTube and through the community, especially with being the longest carnivore here in the United States, at least I know of. I don't know if there's anybody I know that's been carnivore longer than Rick, because I know Rick has been carnivore for like 82 or 1982 or 1983. He's been carnivore, as long as I've been almost alive. And I'm be 48, so I was about 4 or 5 years old when Rick decided to become carnivore before carnivore was carnivore. Julie says, I have yet to discover my talents. I'd like to know if anyone's cheating today or has any hood stuff carnivore options. The only thing that I had today at that dinner, because the one thing I do bring is because you're gonna see the other foods, you're gonna see the sugar, you're gonna see the junk food, you're gonna see potatoes and salads and stuff like that. And the one thing about it is, and rolls, like when I went to my dinner with my family, I bought a pork butt roast at Walmart yesterday, and I put it in the crock pot and I made pulled pork with it. While I was at church this morning, I let it cook on high on the in the slow cooker. And when I got back, I didn't even take it out or drain the fat or the fat or anything. I left it in there and I just shredded it up and I mixed it all up. And it was delicious. I put some Maldon sea salt in there and it was delicious. And that's what I took. I had some ham, and normally it's a sparrow ham, and they usually put honey on it, but they didn't put the honey glaze, which I'm glad. The only thing extra I decided to eat, and I didn't have very many of them, is deviled eggs. And with family, sometimes you got to be careful because you don't know what they use, because a lot of times if they use mayo, it's made with seed oils. I'll see if I get affected or not. But the only other thing I ate was a small spoonful of green beans, because my cousin grew those green beans. They didn't come from a can. They came from their garden. So I know exactly what they put on their garden, because they don't use pesticides or herbicides or anything like that. They actually do everything organically, much as they can. And those green beans came from the garden. Plus, it had bacon grease. It had bacon. So those green beans were set up heart attack style, and they were very delicious. I just don't eat them very much anymore. I eat very few, but most of the time what I ate was meat. I stayed away from the bread. I stayed away from the desserts. I don't care for it anymore. I used to be big. I used to go to family dinner before even was keto, and I would have 2 or 3 rolls. I would have 2 or 3 plates. I would have dessert, and I would be a zombie. I would have what they call that comatose. They always say, because they always blame, it's the turkey that caused that, the turkey, which actually it's not. It's all the carbs that we eat, and we get comatose. And I would be comatose, and I would still go home and I still would be comatose. But when I went there and I ate, and I didn't eat breakfast at all. I ate that this morning, and it was like I was kind of satisfied, and I had a little bit more ham, and I had a little bit more of that pulled pork, and I was stuffed, and I feel great. I'm very full, and was not comatose or anything. And that's the one thing I love about this diet, this carnivore diet is, and I don't even call it diet. We all don't call it diet. We call it a lifestyle change, and I love it because I don't feel comatose anymore, like I'm drugged. And I feel like, some people that's on marijuana, where they will do their marijuana either way and they feel stoned. That's the way I felt after I ate carbs, especially if I ate biscuits and gravy and stuff like that for breakfast in my old age. I was comatose, and I'm like, anymore, I feel great the way it is, and that's why I'm like, I'm not going back to that old lifestyle. I like this lifestyle. This is the first time that my weight was more sustainable. I do like to get leaner. I do want to get some more weight off, which for me, I have to change up. But I think where my weight's going to come off is after I completely recover from this hip replacement, because my hip is damaged and my body is trying to keep the inflammation down, because I don't have inflammation. I don't have hip pain, but I walk like if anybody ever watched The Real McCoys back in the day, I love the show. It's a black and white TV show from the 50s. Walter Brennan was Grandpa McCoy. If you watch Walter Brennan walk, that's how I walk. My mom kind of nicknamed me. So I took that as I hear Grandpa McCoy is here to greet this morning. I hear Grandpa McCoy is here because that's the way I walk. I seen how he walked, and I know how I walk because I have that lip. And one of these days, once I have this hip recover, I guarantee you, and I'm looking forward to this journey of it, because I'm looking forward to see how quick I heal on being on this carnivore lifestyle, how quickly this hip is going to heal. I know it's going to take a little bit longer than a muscle tear or anything, because what has to be careful is that new hip joint that's sitting inside the femur bone has to grow, or the femur bone has to grow the marrow and everything back around that so it can stabilize that. But the way the doctor explained before, he used to have to stay in the hospital. Now it's like outpatient, and I'm looking forward to that. And once I get this hip replaced, I am be ready to go. I'll have my full mobility back. I can be able to sit in a chair normally. I don't have to worry about being awkward. And I'm looking forward to it. It'll be a new journey, and I'm looking forward to sharing that new journey, in the future, on, become a Kilt's guest again, or share that journey with you all. So I'm looking forward to it. Let's see who else is here. Absolutely right. Drugged with duck food. That's exactly how I felt when I ate that way, when I ate the old standard diet. And it's probably all the sugars. And, when you go carnivore and you start understanding it, even when I was ketovore, I started understanding it more. And I understand even more when I was carnivore. And I am just beyond grateful and beyond happy that there is a way out, because we all a lot of us grew up this way. This is the way it is. But really, there was a way out, and this is the great way out. And once I heal, I get some bills paid. I know some of us here are coaches, health coaches, and that's one thing I want to do. I'm not going to be able to do it right now because I need to save the money. But down the road on the next one, if I have enough money, probably on the next one when it comes open, I may go ahead and take the course, and I may do it if they have the next course while I'm off and I have the money to do it during the discount time. I may just do it, and because I'd like to learn more, and if I can help someone, that'd be great. All right. All right, we're kind of at the end of the comments there. I want to. I also want to talk a little bit about my channel. So I wanted to talk a little bit about my channel. I am so happy that I have made to where I am monetized now. I um I can actually let me get this loaded up. I am now where I can have memberships, super chats, stuff like that, the super stickers, stuff like that. So I am so happy that I have made it to this far. And I'm not expecting to be get rich off of YouTube. I'm not famous, but if every little bit for me can help, it will help. Especially with the materials, the software, stuff like that I use. It helps supplement the cost. That would be great. And I'm beyond grateful that I have made it this far. So if you see my videos, I know I have a new video that came out called "The Easiest Chicken Nugget." Now you can actually join as a member. You can send during the live stream. You can send super chats. I don't know how that works. One of these days, I will learn more of this, and I might get with our computer IT person. I'll may email her. Amy is really good at this. So as I'm getting more into this, I'm going to be learning more, and I am grateful that I have made it this far. But um, it's one of those things that I'm not looking to get rich. I'm not looking for that. And like I cut the membership, for membership, I kept it low. So it's solely up to you. The other thing that I am happy as and it's totally up to somebody. And I've joined affiliate program to this new or this Salter SALT, and they approved me. And so, if you want to know more about it, you can go to their website, uh, livesalter.com, to look. And if you're interested into their electrolytes or their salt, um, if you use discount code KMC, that's what they gave me to use. You can get 10% off of any purchase there. And so it's totally up to you. That's one thing about it. With the salt controversy, I know we had several videos, and I still use Redmond's. I still use pink Himalayan salt, but I still, I've tried this new salt, and it's pretty good. It's something that I might not buy all the time. I'm still going to use Malden sea salt. That's my primary salt I use. I use Redmond's every now and then. I don't use it as much. And the same thing with this salter. I'll use it, but not very much. But I am going to try the electrolytes, and see how it is. But I know that you can actually make your own electrolytes, and it's probably a lot cheaper. But if you but you do what you have to do to be able to live. And sometimes, even if you have to use Redmond's or use Malvin's, or you figure a way to mine your own salt, whatever you have to do to make things. And so that's one thing that Rick has a talent of making strawberry poop gas and making his own way his salt. And so that's pretty talented right there, because Rick, I like Rick. Rick has many talents. He is the man of many talents. And that's one thing about it, is not only he works on his own vehicles, but also he does odd jobs there. And the biggest thing is he figures the way to live in his means without being in debt, and also figure out what resources he needs and what food he needs to stay on this carnivore journey and what salts he needs, even if you have to do it yourself. So that's the one thing about it is. And then what was so this last weekend, it was awesome to be a youth chaperone, or part of the youth group. I go to what they call the church name is Redeemer Church, Moberly, Missouri, and we took the kids down to Silver Dollar City. It was called YCW, or Young Christians Weekend. And one thing about it is, if anybody has ever been to Silver Dollar City in Branson, I'm gonna do this real quick. If anybody's ever been to Silver Dollar City, you know that it is a workout. And but I don't know what was worse workout was walking all over this park all day long, or going. This is called Echo Hollow. This is their amphitheater. If you look down below, there's the stage. This is the very, very top of the amphitheater. And we were, Saturday night, we were down here. This is where we sat. And I don't know what was more of a workout, walking all day in that park, or walking all the way up these stairs. And I mean, and then once you get to the top where this picture is, you still have to go up probably another 100 feet, almost a whole football, 100 yards, just to get to back into the park part. And I don't know what was worse, was walking up or walking all day in the park, because I got more of a workout just getting out of Echo Hollow, because that was a workout. And that was the first time I ever felt in a long time, felt like my lungs were burning. and this is a good walk, especially if you're way down here, because I mean, this picture don't do justice, but I was hoping that there was a picture. I found a picture where you could look up, and this is pretty steep, but I enjoyed it, and I'm grateful. My daughter, she's part of the youth group, and she had fun. She got to go ride what they call Time Traveler. It's a ride, and there's no way I'm going to ride that ride, because that ride, let me get back to it. There we go. I'm still learning this stuff. That ride, you'll start up at the top, and the first thing is this ride, actually the whole thing does this, but when it goes down the roller coaster, it drops probably a good 100 feet, and you are turning. And I'm like, no way, nope. There's only one ride. There's only two rides that I like down there. Is one, Fire in the Hole, and the other one was, it's a mining prison where you shoot little targets. It's a little boat ride. It's very gentle. I like those two rides. And then I got to ride the train. That was enjoyable. But I'm hoping someday that I get to be able to, in the future, get to enjoy this with someone else. It's fun, but being by yourself is not as fun, because even though my daughter was there, she was with friends, and I'd rather for her to be with the friends and with other group of kids her age than with me. But no matter what, I'm happy. And the one thing about it is when you see thousands and thousands of kids and young adults come for a weekend, to worship God, that's pretty good. Now, unfortunately, the Sunday message, we had a good worship music and all that, but the message was more self-centered. That's the only thing I didn't like. And now the message that we heard Saturday night during the concert, that was really good. The guy was really good, but the one on Sunday, that one was a little more self-centered in it, and it's not about, it wasn't about Jesus. It was more about himself, and that's not good. Rick Rick says, I will try to get more people to make their own cooking gas. Yeah, that's a really unique thing. And it'd be nice if one day, Rick, you make a video. I'm sure you have a video on your strawberry poop gas mechanism, but it'd be nice if you don't, if you make a video someday, because that'd be neat to see. And the way it looks, I know for me, I could probably bring all kinds of dog poop home and make my own strawberry poop gas here, but I don't know if I did make the time or not. But when times are tough, you can, whatever, you have to be creative. You can save money by being creative. That's one thing about resourcing, is if you can use your resources, that will be great. Let's see. Rick says, you are right. Let's see. Juliet says, for me, you are such a wonderful person to deal with all those teenagers. We lived at Silver Dollar City when my girls were preteens. Yes, it is a workout. Sandy says, whoa. And Rick said, that reminds me of the old Gator Park. Rick says, I am amazed that you can get around with a bad hip. That's one thing about it, is I was there and I did a little short. I was at the park. I have a short reel that I explained that 2 years ago, with pre-carnivore, I was in more ketovore, but I was also our ketovore, also eating sometimes the breads, the treats, and stuff like that, because I didn't understand how much that really wasn't junk food. And I was miserable. 2024, I was very miserable. And that hip was in extreme pain. Not only that hip I was painful, my knees hurt. My left foot was extremely painful. And being amazed, after being carnivore, I'll be 2 years this July. My birthday is July 21st. My carniversary date is July 26th. And it's amazing that I can get around with a bad hip. And, I don't, that's the thing about it is way they diagnosed me. I don't know about this doctor. The one that's actually going to be doing the hip replacement at the Columbia Orthopedic Group, but the previous doctor kind of diagnosed me with avascular necrosis, which is the deadening of bone tissue. And being that severe, I mean, I think it's just an educated guess, but I shouldn't be walking at all. There's people that had that. They had to actually be in wheelchairs where they couldn't even walk. I'm just amazed. The only thing that I don't have was internal hip rotation. So when I try to get in the car or my vehicles, I do have limitations. Now, getting up in the truck is different than getting down into a car or my SUV, because it's a little bit harder. But sitting in a chair is kind of hard now. I can get up and out of my bed without holding on to anything, because my bed is a little bit higher. But anything lower, I have to actually help myself get up. And I used to be a day where I'm in the apartments painting baseboards, and I'm crawling on my hands and knees painting the baseboards, and I'd have a brush in my one hand, and I would have we use Folgers coffee cans for paint cans, and I have that in the other hand, and I would just, I was probably 320, 330 pounds and still get up off the floor with no problem without getting any help. But as time goes, I feel that probably part of the issue is a bad habit of chewing tobacco is what hurt me. But yeah, I'm very surprised. Now, like I'll go to work and I'll work. What I'll do is I go to work, I'll do some stuff and I'll stop, I'll sit, take a little break. Then I'll get some water or whatever I need to do, check for work orders, stuff like that. And then I'll get up and I'll do some more stuff. And that's how I'll do it. I know Tuesday I have another tub surround project, which biggest part of that's going to be most of the day. Where it's a multi-day project, but I'll start at 10 o'clock that morning or 9 o'clock that morning, and I will within an hour the tile walls will be down, where it's down, cleaned up, and I am ready to start putting sheetrock back. Which one reason why we do sheetrock? I do the water sheetrock board, which we don't go back with tile, we go back with surround. And still, it's not good to have sheetrock. No matter what kind of sheetrock, it's not really good. But that's not, we don't have much of a choice to do. And so we go back with the surround. But with this one, it may take a little bit extra longer, because what I'm going to do is not only I'm replacing the surround, I'm replacing the tub faucet, getting rid of the 60-year-old tub faucet that's in there, and putting something a little bit more modern, a lot better, that all we have to do is there's no going back and doing constant repeat work orders, because sometimes people don't understand how to shut off a faucet. After it's shut off, they think, sometimes they have to keep cranking. You even try to show them, but sometimes they don't listen. So the best thing to do is let's upgrade, let's put a single handle in. I want to do the whole work. So that's one thing I do. And so what I'll do is I'll take it down. I'll go ahead, and then what I'll do is I'll go right downstairs. I'll take a 10-minute break, check to make sure we don't have any other work orders. And then I'll grab the faucet, all that stuff, and I'll go and get that done. And then we'll go ahead and get the rock in. And then once the rock's in, lunch break, we'll take a break. And then I'll come back and I'll put the surround in. And once the sheetrock's in, the surround's in, it goes in fast. And it'll start at 9 o'clock. I'll be done by 2 to 3 o'clock and be ready to go home. So, and then next day I'll come back and I will do all the joints. And the way I do the sheetrock, I fix it where I get it tight as I can in the corners, and I tuck it way up in the ceiling, where all I have to do is do a nice little caulking instead of having to scrape the popcorn texture and have to do all the mudding, the semen and stuff like that. I do the quickest way I can to make it look good, but also that I can be able to get their shower functioning the next day. So that's some of the things. Now, normally if I'm doing it for myself, or I'm doing it if I do it for a home or something, it's a little bit different. But for this, you have to get it up quick as you can, because they need their shower. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Hey, Mason, Y3. Hi. Is your name Alicia or Alyssa? And if you prefer to be called that, or if you go by your YouTube handle, but I thought someone mentioned your name the other day, if it's Alyssa or Alicia. So I'm glad you stopped by today. And Juliet says, Mason, yay! And Nation is saying hello to Juliet. Oh, here we go. Here we go. She said Alicia or Alyssa. Either way, so that's awesome. Well, I'm glad to meet you. I'm glad you stopped by. I know we've kind of met through the chat, so I'm just glad you all stopped by today. I didn't know if I wasn't going to do this live, but I know that some other people wasn't going to do their live today, and it's in the afternoon. And so if it wasn't so windy, it's almost 60 degrees outside. It's showing 65, but that's just at my thermometer. I don't know if the real temperature. If it wasn't really windy, I would have done this outside. I know when the weather gets nicer, if it's pretty nice I know it's going to be in the 70s. If it's not too windy, I may be doing my live outside on my front porch because it'd be nice to show y'all. And if a lot of, one good thing about this, because this is, of course, this is a picture of Google. Let me get back here. Where am I at? This down. Switch. Here we go. And go back to Google Earth. Share this tab. There we go. Make sure I'm there. Yep. I love Google Earth because shows the map here. A lot of times, you can try to, if you can type your address in, but the beautiful thing I love about Google Earth is they have a car that comes and takes a picture, and I know some people kind of know, but if you like to know where I live, let's see, no. You got St. Louis here. You have Kansas City. Right here is Columbia. Now, I don't live in Columbia, Missouri, but I work in Columbia. But here is about to where I live. And I don't live in this town. This is my hometown, Higbee, right here. I actually live, if you look right here, there's a Rudolph Bennett State Wildlife Area. That's about where I live. Now, I can't do a street view on my here on my road because they don't have this, but I can come down, let it focus here. Right here is where I live. This is if it's an aerial view, here is my house rooftop, and then this is where my mom lives. This is actually the farm that I live at, and if you for anybody that never been kind of in the countryside, I don't know how old this picture is, but this is this street view. This is kind of what my area kind of looks like. This is the blacktop I live off of. It's kind of like a roller coaster. I can turn around. There's the road that I live off of. I wish I can do my view, but yeah, if you kind of look, I can kind of zoom in. You can kind of see that it is a roller coaster, and it can feel like a roller coaster. But one thing about it, in the wintertime, this is one of the roads that if it gets icy, it's something you don't want to be on because it is bad. And a lot of times I don't want to travel, but I'll kind of show you. I always like to joke around. Let me zoom. I'll kind of show you a little bit of my hometown. Why I always joke around that is bigger than New York or LA, and that it consists of traffic jams of tractors at the only four-way, which we have more four-ways, but our main four-way is right here. This is our four-way. I wish gas was only 17 cents instead of what it is. Yep, this is our main town. This is my hometown. It's called Higbee, and it is not very big. At one time, it was bigger than Moberly. Moberly is about 13,000 people, but now we're about 568 people, and I mean, I love the town and love the area. I I can't complain about it. I love living out in the country. Sometimes it's nice to live in a bigger area because the convenience and stuff. And oh yeah, here we go. We also have another. I never understood why we have a flagpole in the center of the intersection. It's been like that for, I don't know, before I was even born. I even asked my mom. My mom grew up in this town, and I still don't know why is there a flagpole in the center of the intersection. We all are trying to want to understand. And so yeah, it's a pretty neat town. Let's see. I'll go back up here. Mason or Lisa says, glad you're doing a live. I actually is happy. I wasn't gonna plan on doing it because it was Easter and stuff, but I'm like, you know what? I don't, with some of my situations and stuff like that. My youngest daughter, which lives with me, my oldest daughter lives with her mom, and she's 21. She's actually got a job at Amazon warehouse, I believe, in Sedalia, Missouri area, where our state fair is at, and so she lives down that way. She's got a job. I'm glad she's happy that she's got a job, and she looks like she really likes it. And then my youngest daughter spent the weekend, a few days with a friend of hers, and so it was just me and Mare. Get up here. Me and this goofy hound dog. That's all. He's a good dog, but he's my goofy hound dog. That's the only thing. Is only us. And so I'm like, well, I might as well do a live. And so I'm glad that everybody came on today. And so I didn't know how many people was going to be here. Sandy says she is a faithful follower of it. Yes, absolutely. And Juliet says, thanks, Mason. I have a lot of fun today at school. Poor John couldn't shut me up. It was so fun to have Rick and Papa in the chat. I watched some of it. I got to finish watching the replay, Juliet, on the Carnivore Sunday School, and I'm actually looking forward to the 26th of April. I have to make sure that I go to church at the 8 a.m. service because that way I get home in time, and so I can get it because it's at 12 o'clock my time, 1 o'clock Eastern. And I'm looking forward to meeting John because he's really awesome. He's very knowledgeable. I've watched some of his videos, and he is very knowledgeable. And if you haven't subscribed to John Alpha, I think the Carnivore Alpha Teacher. I can't remember what his channel is, but definitely subscribe to his channel. Watch it. He's very, very, very knowledgeable. And Julie says, she loves my simple recipe videos. That's one thing about Carnivore is when you go and you simplify how you cook, and you tend to want to be simple, but sometimes you want to change up stuff. And when I started this channel a little over a year ago, at first, the first thing is when I wanted to share my journey, I'm like, I want to do this because I need to get out there and share my journey. And I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know how YouTube worked. I didn't know what to do. I bought a camera. I tried this camera, and simply all I needed to do was just use my phone. And that's all I did. And I'll probably, when it comes to that anniversary come up to August this year, I'll probably do the same thing. I'll probably take my lawn chair. I will set my camera up right outside the same spot where I started this channel, my very first video, why I went carnivore. And the thing is, I didn't like it. After I got done with it, I didn't know the ins and outs of YouTube. I edited it. I had very minimal editing because most of it was raw. I looked at it, I'm like, I hate it. I hate doing it. No, I don't want to do this. I was trying to debate myself every which way to just not do it. I didn't do another video for over a month. And finally, something popped in my head and says, because I had a subscriber or two, and they said, and what popped up was, one case, your journey and your story, your situation, that why you went carnivore. One case it helps that person reach out to that person. One case it reaches out to another person and another person. And so I'm like, okay. So I didn't know how I was going to do this. I tried this and I tried that, and not still knowing what I need to do with YouTube, because YouTube was one of those that if you pushed your video immediately without the algorithm reviewing it, it's going to put it out there in middle of nothing, or it's not going to put it out in the areas, and you may not get the view. And that's exactly what happened to me. And then over time, then sometime, I thought, well, maybe I'll do this, this, and this. And so it didn't work out. But finally, what helped me with my niche is I noticed that what got most views: simple cooking videos. And most people, just like myself, I mean, I love Chris Cooking Nashville. I love the idea with his recipes, but sometimes some of the ingredients can get costly, and sometimes it can get complicated. And don't get me wrong, I'm going to purchase Chris's Cooking Nashville book when it comes out, because it's awesome. And I know Courtney Luna and also Bella does recipes, some recipes, and also Jenny Mitch. But the one thing is sometimes those ingredients get expensive. Sometimes it gets really complicated, and these days, people want simple. I want simple. And what way, when I come up with an idea and I shared it with you all on my videos, people liked it. And in my first video that really went viral, that I got over 10,000 views, and it's still going up, is my carnivore chicken bacon casserole. That sucker's still going viral. There's people that was ketovore say, hey, they're making it like adding some stuff that they like was jalapenos and stuff, and they say thank you for this. And that's one thing about what Juliet says here is the simple recipes. And sometimes it gets busy. And even when you're sometimes you get to those trying to do a video, especially one that can be complicated, it could take a long time. And for me, most of the time I'm doing my videos either Friday or Saturday morning, and it takes at least a good 2 hours from beginning to finish. That's not counting editing to do a video. And it is hard. It's not hard, but it's time consuming. And for me, I not only that I want to do stuff on this farm, I have the second channel that I want to really get going too, is my homesteading channel, because I have other stuff I want to do. Plus, my daughter kind of keeps me busy with her sports at school. Also, now we're going into 4-H. The trap shooting practice and stuff is on Saturday morning. So it's going to be tough. And so most of the time I have to make time. So, it is time consuming. So a lot of times making it simple is easy. And sometimes you want to have that variety. We can eat meat and stuff like that, but sometimes we want to show something that's, variety. Like you want to have carnivore tacos or our casserole and stuff like that. And I think that's great to have. And I felt that this is the niche that I have, and I'm still going to share. I have upcoming videos, and the one thing is like I have another great idea that I caught from another YouTube channel that it's a video that I am going to be doing. It's going to be my next video. And I got the idea from his last video, and I follow him a lot every Wednesday. And even though he does a lot of cast iron cooking, cowboy campfire cooking and stuff like that, open fires, charcoal grills and stuff like that, he's still on it. He does more a standard diet, not the junk food, but like he makes his recipes, you know, the pies, the breads, the biscuits, the gravy, you know, chicken fried steak, stuff like that. But it's really neat that I always want to watch it because if it's something that interests me and what can I can do to make this carnivore. So it's just like one of my other videos, it was the upside down pizza. This is an old recipe you had, but I'm like, I can probably make this carnivore. And that's where I got, you know, I used the Courtney Luna's bread recipe and I learned, okay, if I can cut this recipe in half, I bet I can make a good pizza crust, a bread like pizza crust or flatbread. And that's exactly what I did. And I used that for the pizza and it turned out really good. So that's one thing I love about doing is like, if I can take a recipe that is standard or keto, and if I can make it simplify it to make it carnivore, I want to share that. So I feel like I found my niche. Now, some of my videos may get pushed out there, some of the videos don't. It just depends on when it gets to the recommendations and what the algorithm wants to do. But I'm hoping that, you know, sharing these videos, I'm hoping that people get something out of it. Sandy says that I have yes, I love the property out here. And one thing about it is at least one thing is where I live, I don't live too far from people crop farming. I mean, I'm just 2-3 miles either way around that people do crop farming, but I actually live where I have grass and the plow will never touch this land. My dad used to fertilize it every year, the hayfield portion, which is where the side I live on, but it hadn't been touched for a while. But I want to make sure I keep it brush hogged. I know one of these days I am going to have animals out here, especially the herd sheep and some goats. And of course, yes, the fence is what's going to cost the most to build back. I have the buildings. I have the barns. I have the buildings. I'm good to go on that. I just need to get the fences back. I have half of the fencing material. I just need posts and the goat wire to require for keeping the goats and sheep in. And I might buy a bucket calf or a calf that I'll fatten up to butcher because as beef gets higher, that's some other resources that I can do. I can have, you know, I can do goat and I wanted to try to buy a calf, you know, even if I have to trade something, that's the only thing about talent. I can trade my work. What do you need done? I'll trade you for that. And that's the beautiful thing about the, you know, about working a trade that I have. But yeah, it gets hayed every year. My neighbors hay it and they get the hay off of it. Sometimes they may do a double cutting if they need the extra hay. So that's the good thing about the property I live on. It will never have the plow. If someone comes and says they want to lease my land, they want to till for beans, and they say, "Oh, I can give you top dollar for it," I'm like, "Nope, go down the road because the grass is going to stay here." Because the problem with when you start doing the no-till or the tilling, they kill the grass. What's going to happen is what nutrients that are here will be all depleted and washed down. And I've already got an issue I'm already trying to get grass to grow on top of clay. And if you have someone trying to do that, this place would be ruined. And I might as well just I'd rather let it grow up in woods before I ever let it grow before the plow gets to it. So that's one thing about it is because we are losing we are losing a lot of our grazing grounds. I mean, I know Rick mentioned about, especially living in Miami, where he saw a lot of it growing up, a lot of it, you know, his time. And then he watched all of a sudden apartment buildings. And I've seen that myself where, you know, as a kid, I traveled to Cape Girardeau, Missouri, where my dad's brother lived. And I've watched how St. Louis area, the whole community, you know, the outskirts of it, how it just grew. And a lot of this was farmland. In Columbia, Missouri, same thing. I'm starting to see farmland being developed in housing. And I don't know how people can afford all this housing. I'm seeing housing being built now. And it's like housing costs a lot. We had a problem with the housing market because we especially have a problem where our young generation that are the Gen Zs that are now having families in their from the late millennials and the early Gen Z generation are having trouble trying to have their own house. And they inherit money or they're rich somehow, it's really tough. And I don't know how the housing, all these housings coming up, but that's the one thing I have seen disappear. It's like our grazing land is disappearing fast. Mason says, hello, Rick, the longest carnivore. And Juliet said, God's land, beautiful area. Yes, I love this area. Now, wintertime, it kind of sucks, but it is beautiful even in the summertime. But what's more beautiful is the Missouri Ozarks. I have never, I've been most of the Ozarks in Missouri, but some of my favorite areas growing up was when I was a kid and up till about 16. I even in my younger 20s, there's a couple of years I went down there. It's a town called Eminence. I'll pull it up here on this. It's some of my favorite area to. Oops, Springfield to get me where it is. There's the Arkansas line. Somehow I need to get this thing turned around. There it is. Here's Eminence. There's a big organized trail ride called Cross Country Trail Ride. Let me zoom in this. Oh, I'm still have a habit of this. Here we go. Here we go. Sorry about that. I need to keep on pulling this up. I love this area. This is a part of the Ozarks here. Right here is a big organized ride called Cross Country Trail Ride. And I've been there for probably 15 years. I've done there from when I was a kid and probably into my early 20s. Yeah, I love this town. And, what I love about the Missouri Ozarks or even the Ozarks is versus, the creeks in my area. Let me zoom in here. Oh, it's wintertime, but this looks like it rained, but the water is usually clear. It looks like it just rained, so the water's a little murky, but here's the aerial view. You can see how crystal clear the water is. But one of my favorite areas is, let me see if I can zoom out. There we go. See if I can be able to do it. Oh yeah, here we go. This is called, that's an aerial folder. Let me find one that's more. That's an aerial folder too. Well, we'll just do this number if I can pull it in. Oh, it's the winter time. They call this Two Rivers. I really like this area. It's beautiful down here. Maybe this is somebody. Well, that's kind of hard there. But yeah, this is my favorite area. Maybe I'll just take a picture, even though it's an aerial photo. But this is what they call two rivers. This is where the Jacks Fork River and the Current River comes together. And it's a beautiful place. I have a picture of it, but I really love this area. And I rode horses down here for years. I rode horses for years down there, and that is beautiful land down there. And that's one thing about it is Missouri has some of the beautiful areas in the state. Even up in my area, we do have some beautiful areas. Sandy says, I live off of a dirt road in the country. I love the country. And of course, as Rick says, no open spaces left near him. That's one thing about these cities is like I watched it. I'm watching the Kansas City area. Every time I went to Kansas City, I'm watching that area just grow up. And now for our state, we have not only one but two interstates that are pretty busy that goes through Missouri. One of them is Interstate 70 that goes across the center of the state and it goes through Kansas City, it goes through St. Louis, and goes through Kansas and Colorado and ends in Utah. The other one is the old Route 66 or the old Route 66 byway, which is now I-44. And both of these interstates are needed widened. Now, I don't know if they're in the works of widening I-44, but I know I-70, they're working on it. And hopefully they're adding another lane. And that's how busy these areas growing up. And even in Missouri, I'm seeing, even though we still have a lot of land, but around the cities, a lot of the farmlands is like they're doing housing develop. And I don't know how these houses are selling. Like I'm seeing more houses being built, but I don't know how they're being sold. She say, "Yay, Kelly's a guest star, 426. John is awesome." Yeah, I'm looking forward to meeting John on Sunday school because he's very knowledgeable. Sandy says, "John from Sunday school has great singing voice." Oh, is it just like Russ? I like to hear John sing because I know I can't sing. You don't want me to sing. I mean, I might can be able to sing a tune. I might whistle a tune, but it ain't gonna be very good. And Juliet said, "He does, Sandy. I will have to ask him about it." Cool. Sandy says, "Yes, he is great." And Miss Above says, "Thank you for sharing your YouTube experience." Well, you're welcome. That's the one thing about it is that's one thing that that it was hard to do. And once you find your niche and you see where it is, you'll see that you'll see the continuation. Yes, you're going to have the trolls. You're going to have people who are going to be negative and stuff like that. I had that. I don't let them get to me. Simply is I just click delete. And Mr. Above says, "When recipes are based on variety, it's much loved. Helps to stay on the carn keto track." Yes. And oh, Rick, I wish you didn't do that. That's addicting. Heart attack chicken. Absolutely. Heart attack chicken. I love it. Like I have been doing a lot of stuff, and Rick has gotten a lot of this. He was kind of the leader when he said heart attack chicken, heart attack burger. We even talked about this yesterday on Thomas's live that he kind of led us a little bit. And we started talking about heart attack and duck food. And, that's one thing about it. Like I went to the store, I went to Walmart where I live. To be able to get a lot of the variety, I have to travel to Columbia. And if things, with prices are higher, I'm going to use that Flip app more, and I'll probably do more shopping in Columbia because we have a more variety of grocery stores besides Walmart and Aldi. In Moberly, Missouri, where I shop, we have only three grocery stores: Aldi, Walmart, and a locally owned grocery store called Bratcher's. In Columbia, you have a variety. You have Schnucks, you have Hy-Vee, and Hy-Vee has sales all the time. And I wish Moberly have a Hy-Vee. They have Walmart. They have Gerbs, which is pretty much, if anybody's familiar with Kroger, that's what Gerbs is a Kroger store. They also have another locally owned grocery store called Mosier's. I stop there at the north end of town if I need to stop there, but a lot of times I'm going to start shopping because where you have more competition, you're going to have better ads, and where you have a smaller community, it's not going to be as expensive. But a lot of times I just don't want to deal going around Columbia because it's 120, 130,000 people plus the college students, because it is the home of the University of Missouri Tigers, Stevens College, and Columbia College. So you have a big university, you have a bigger college, and then you have a little smaller college. So you have roughly probably 40 to 50,000 extra when the students are there, besides the residents of Columbia. So sometimes I don't want to deal with that. I'd rather just go to a small town like Moberly with 13,000, even if there's just a Walmart supercenter. But the one thing about it is I go by buying, bulk, which I need to get stuff in bags, freezer, or I really need to invest in a freezer, what is that? Vacuum sealer one of these days. And so I use freezer bags, but I usually get the bigger bulk stuff. So like here lately, like I don't eat as much beef I used to. So I at least find the cheapest chuck pot roast I get at Walmart. At least have that. I love that. And this is kind of like I have my steak, just like the ribeye. I miss having ribeyes, and I don't have them very often because they're so expensive. So at least once every 2 weeks, because I shop every 2 weeks. Once every 2 weeks, I'll have a chuck pot roast, and I'll split it between two meals. Then this time I went ahead. I was going to try to stock up a little bit, so I went ahead and got 10 pounds of ground beef, and I'll put that in 1 pound, divided 1 pound, smaller bags, so I can stock, because I'm going to kind of stock up a little bit. And then that's about the only beef that I bought. The rest of it was pork and chicken. I have leftover pork butt roast that is pulled pork now that's in my crock pot, which if I'm hungry, I might have that. If not, that's what I'm going to have for tomorrow, is the rest of that. And then I have chicken legs that I bought in bulk that I will divide into about 4 legs. I got pork steak. That's where I get most of my steak from, is pork steaks. So I got the family pack and big, thick cut pork chops where I'll divide it into smaller ones. But I think my all-time favorite thing now is instead of cooking bacon, I love to dehydrate my bacon. And I get the thick cut bacon and I will dehydrate it, and I'll eat that better than I do cooked bacon anymore. Julie says, thank you, Kelly, for a great live. Friends are coming in 10 minutes. I have to run, clean up the cat toys. Blessed Easter to all. Well, you have yourself a good night. I'm about to probably wrap this up here soon. Sharon said, enjoy, Julie. Yes, enjoy. Missed Above says, thanks, Coach Juliet, for your advice. Have fun. Elisa says, bye, Juliet. Everybody's saying to Juliet, bye. Lisa's saying happy Easter to Sharon. See, they're not having a live. Yeah, Juliet's not having a live because of the Easter. And then, yeah, Rick says, or get your own rake and baler. Well, one of these days I thought about it, but sometimes with, I don't think I'd have a problem with the with my neighbors doing it because they probably do it for a little bit or hay share. Because one side, probably the primary my side of the property will be the animal side because I'm going to do what, if anybody's familiar with Joe Salatin and his farm called Polyface Farms, if you can find him like on Tubi TV or Netflix, or even if there is someone on YouTube, or if you have Angel Studios, um, check out Lunatic Farmer because Joe Salatin is very smart what he did. He took a piece of property that was trash. I mean, trash, no good. And he started doing this animal rotation where he had the cattle on one and then he followed with the chickens and he daily rotated the animals and the farm is become I mean, it is like luscious green grass and everything. Not only that, he also sells chickens and stuff. And I know like by law, you got to have this and that enclosed, but the best butchering area is outside, fresh air. I mean, for years, that's what farmers did. That's what my grandpa did. We butchered outside in the fall, in the winter time when it decent, like in November and December, around hunting season, or even in January, February when it's cooler, they butchered outside. They butchered if it's not too cold. If it was a decent day, they butchered their animals outside. We butchered the chickens right there. My grandpa he's the one that took care of the chickens, cut the chicken's head off. And he didn't have the guillotine. He was the guillotine with the axe. I remember I seen these cone shape, but Joe Salatin I watched a demonstration he did on dressing a chicken, from start to finish. And I really like what he did, especially, where it didn't bruise the meat and stuff. So like one day I am going, when I have chickens, I am going to butcher chickens. I'm going to raise my own chickens. I'm going to raise my own beef because that's the way to do it. Because if you have land, you don't want to let go of it because if you do, it's a hard time getting it back. It is a lot more expensive. Hey, there's Helix. There's Helix. Hey, I'm glad you come back. Glad you stopped by. Very late, but glad I didn't miss this. I'm glad you're here. Glad you are here. Let's see, Lisa said, I've enjoyed pot roast for years. Of course, no veggies now. See. Yeah, that's one thing I agree. Rick says I process outside. That's one thing is like I feel that the fresh air is the best. Even when I wasn't living here, I was living, when I was previously married to my ex-wife, my girls' mom. Her parents just lived up the road from where we lived, and we did chickens. We raised butcher chickens, and that's what we did. My ex-father-in-law made a cone guillotine where you put the chicken's head down where it doesn't wrestle or anything like that. You put it in there and you cut the chicken's head off, and boom. And everything was outside. Matter of fact, we butchered when it was probably spring or in the summer or early fall. It was fairly warm still. I think it was around September or October. So yeah, I feel that they want us in these, enclosed areas, but I feel that the open fresh air is even better because you don't have any parasites or any salmonella and all that. The air is the best. All right, I think we're at the end of all the comments now. Wow, it has been an hour and a half. It was a good live. I'm glad you all stopped by today. Thank you for stopping by. I know it was Easter. I wasn't planning on doing a live, but someone mentioned about it. I said, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and do it because nobody, I know Amy's not. I don't think Amy's doing her live tonight because of families and it's Easter. And I know with the Catholic faith, they do things different than what like my church does. And of course, I might pull up here real quick. This is the church I go to. It's a fairly young church. We're actually they formed the church. I met the pastor and his wife when I was going to another church called North Park Baptist in 2016. This church was started in 2018. It's a fairly young church. We actually meet at a theater because we have a building, but we don't have a sanctuary, so we have two services. And one thing about this church, I mean, I've been to other churches and they have really good sermons, but if you ever get a chance to go to on YouTube, Redeemer Moberly on YouTube, you can see some of the sermons. I'm just going to warn you, it will either convict you, will get you thinking, or you're really going to enjoy it because they are some awesome sermons. Pastor Cole Calloway Hoskins is the pastor, and he is straight biblical out of the book. And I mean, even himself, he'll throw himself under the bus. And that's one thing I love about church. You don't hear that much these days. You have more self-centered, especially the mega churches. The mega churches I don't associate with because a lot of them is about themselves. And some of the mega churches has lost their way and it's more about money. And to me, the church is the people. It's just a building. We don't have a lavish building where we meet on Wednesday. It's just a building. It's an old doctor's office building that we just kind of remodeled on the inside, and it don't have to be fancy. Because when we're gone, that building's going to rot away. And it's the people that's what makes the church. And see if there's some photo galleries. I mean, we have some fun. I mean, if you look, here's a picture right here. It was a doctor's park before we changed it up. It's much different now, but it's almost the same building. Oh, here we go. Here's some of our, if you want to know the build with Casas, you can see we're building here, the home, one of the groups. And, here's where they're praying the inside, sheetrock. My brother in Christ, he's a good guy. I like him. His name's John Ackley. He's one of the elders at our church. I remember this one. I remember these ladies. We were all on the same build together on my second build, so it's really awesome. This is the 4th Street Theater. This is our Christmas Eve service that we have every year. So it's pretty awesome. This is our old church office. This is we were doing Christmas carols, I believe. So it's blessed to have. And there's me and my mama. So it's blessed to have a church family. And every one of them is every one of them that you meet will have the same mentality. We're all broken spirited and we don't deserve heaven, but we are beyond grateful because as of today, and as I'm going to be ending as I'm ending my live stream, I want to wish everybody a happy Easter. And that tomb is empty. That cross has no body on it. And this is the reason why I live and do what I do, even to help somebody. If my journey can help one person, or if I can reach one person by sharing the gospel, even if it's on this live, that's what it's about. And as I'm going to end today, he is risen. He is risen indeed. And as I end my videos, let's be kind, be positive, have a good attitude, and encourage and support one another. Y'all have a great day. God bless. And I will see you next week on my live 3 p.m. next Sunday. Y'all have a great evening.